What's going on, everybody? In my last video, I talked a bit about how I go through making a sequence inside of Unreal Engine using a lot of physical tools and bringing them into the virtual world. I wanted to put together this video just to show my entire thought process as I do that, in case anyone kind of wanted to understand that and kind of implement that themselves. You know, a lot of time when you watch tutorials, you can be thinking why is this person doing this way when it comes to more creative decisions? So I kind of wanted to put a bit of a video together showing both how I do it and why I do it, as well as what I'm thinking when I'm going through it. So if that's interesting to you at all, check it out and let me know what you think. All right, here we are. Step one, building the scene itself. So what I have is this Unreal environment that I had bought about a year ago for $50. And I put it inside of another forest pack that I have as well. It's a little mangled at the moment, as you can see. So anyways, let's say for the sake of this project, what we want to do is have a character sitting on the edge of this roof, and we want to see them do the whole Spider-Man leap of faith thing and see them fly into the sky. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to assess where the best part of that is, which I'm not going to lie, I already flew around a little bit and I kind of like it right here. So I'm going to set up my whole thing right here. Cool. Starting off, I'm going to make a cinematics, add a level sequence, demo. Okay, and now we're here. So let's just drop a camera in just to have a camera going. There he is. After I just have the camera in the space that I want, I'll go in and I'll add in my characters. There he is. Bring him into sequencer. Now he's there. And so we have our guy here. The animation I'm going to be using are 8B2. Drag that over. And then 8E1. There we go. So what you see here is we have our sitting animation where you see him just hanging out, and then a push off and he just lands on his feet. So we really only need this up until the push off. Maybe a little bit down after, like right there probably. Cut that down. And then this one's him flying, which I could probably use from right here. So once you have that animation in, find just a random spot on it that is kind of your midpoint of the animation, where you think that the anchor point is of it, and then just translate that to where you want it to be. I want him right on the edge there. Maybe knees off a little bit and transform, put a keyframe down. So now we have little homie sitting on the edge, getting ready to do his little leap of faith. So one thing that I do know is that when he does his leap of faith, he needs to have some firm contact on the ground when he first touches it so you can see him leap off. So then I'll add in wherever his feet start, I'll add a transform there. Or sorry, wherever his hands start, I'll add a transform there just to lock that anchor point again. Then when his hands push all the way down, he starts lifting back up. See that? So I need to make sure that I have the point that it leaves the surface, or the highest point that it gets from the surface, needs to be brought back in. And now you see during this, his hands go really far down the whole time. So I bring that back up. Now you see him push. There it is. This can probably hold back a little bit. So I'm going to duplicate that keyframe. And I'm going to save that push up till the last possible second, so it looks more natural. So once he lets go right there, right, we're going to want to drag him hella far down to get him kind of out of that shot. So there he goes. So it goes push, down. We can probably have this go a little bit further. I'll have this turn into linear from that so that it goes at a constant rate kind of on his way down. So if you see this from the back, you can see push off, down, and then he splits back into that T-pose. So then what we'll do at the end of this is properties, keep state, which means that when it's done with the animation that it plays, it'll stay in that pose, so it won't pop back up like we just saw. So instead, we can see that. So we end up getting, there he is, he's a little scared. He jumps off the back, there he goes. And now, what's gonna happen is we need to, while he's down there, swap the animation out. So right now he jumps off and he just pops into that, which is fine. But what needs to happen with this is we need to rotate him up. So he gets out of frame, does a little spinny spin, then he's good to go. So we kind of want to see in the pacing of this, right? We want to see him go, oh, 1, 2, up. So right about here is when we want to see him start flying back up. So I'll put a keyframe there to move later. That's another one of our anchor points. And then when I say 3 seconds, so 1, 2, 3, We want him to go up like 50,000 feet. So what I do to do that is just take him and then let's pull him above the clouds. And there's our first cloud. So we can have him there. We can go back to our camera that's on the ground and we can pull him back down. There he goes. Whoop. He's really going for it too. Bing. Okay. So then what we'll do is, just to kind of make it a bit more like legible, we'll have this go for a couple of seconds. So total, the shot is what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I'll have him take till about 20 seconds to get up there. So now what I like to do, just to get an idea of how he's kind of moving throughout the space, is I'll take another camera. I'll name this rename track. I'll take him and then I will attach the camera to the character, and I'll do like the hips, for example. Once it's there, it's going to be somewhere super random in the level. There's a reason why it goes where it does, but we don't need to get into that either. So loop him back up together, get the rotation okay, pin that there, and then let's watch it from that camera's perspective. Just to get a feel for how far he flies. I think that feels pretty good. So let's ride with that. So once we have our action, I like to then go in to the camera, get the camera in, and then decorate the scene after that. Because with Unreal, we can kind of afford to do that, because I can kind of change the camera around a little bit after the fact. So the way that I kind of have this set up is, this is pretty much saying that when I press play on the game, I can kind of go in and embody a camera, and then when I hit right on the D-pad of my controller, it will move that camera and put it to where I want it to be at the start of the sequence, and then the sequence will play out, and I can kind of maneuver the camera wherever I want to in that sequence and record that, and then I'll plug that back onto the sequence after the fact. So let's do that. This sequence is called Demo. Plug that in right there. Compile, save, exit out of that, and then I will drop in a dolly, because I want my first shot to be a dolly move. And we'll add that dolly to the sequence, and then we'll take, let's see if we have a V-cam in the scene. All right, so when you get that camera in, then toss it onto your dolly inside of the sequence, zero everything out, which this won't really matter down the line anyways. So that's all settled. And then we're gonna get to the fun part. So what I have here is my literal baby. It's what I like to call my virtual camera. I have just a shoulder mount rig with an HTC Vive on it, and then just the display, so I can see what this thing's capturing and where it's capturing. All right, so now that everything's synced up, I should be able to just kind of go in, hit Live Link, XR source, add, and then I need to turn back on this guy, and it should pick it up. And there it is. So what we have here is, that's the virtual camera being received, or the physical camera being received by the virtual camera. So what I need to do now is figure out what my center point is, which means that I'll have to be facing the opposite way. Classic. So this right here is my virtual camera. I have an HTC Vive tracker on top. I have a monitor right here, and I just have it all on a shoulder rig that's HDMI'd back into my machine. So the goal with this is, I can press play on the machine using my Xbox controller. I can get actual physical movement of the space here, and then I can record that data, get that back onto the character over there. All right, so what's going on now is I'm on the ground because I gotta be low for the character. Make sure I get that nice and low angle. But I got my shoulder rig right here, myself on the monitor, as you should be able to see. Everything's tracking. I hit right on the D-pad to lock me into my camera feed, and I'm here, and I can just kind of get that nice little movement, just like natural camera movement. So he's hanging out. Oh. Go down with him. Where'd he go? Oh, there he's gone. And that's it. I like to act it out a little bit. So we take that footage, and then we do this. We just got our camera footage, and we're trying to line that back up onto the shot. So to do that, we go into our cinematics, our takes from today. They're called demo. So we have demo 3, subscene, and right here we have all of our camera movement. It's gonna be towards the end because I was rolling for a little bit. But yeah, this guy right here, he goes up into the sky and back down. So we know that we need to grab all of this data, at least copy it. So once we have that, we can take that and plop it onto a duplicate camera that we're gonna make because we're gonna need that virtual camera later. So let's add in another camera. Let's call this rename behind shot. Nice. We're gonna track it to dolly 3, like the other one. We're going to make this the main shot right now. And then we're gonna put that data onto that and try to line it up somewhere relatively close. So right here is that big move up. So we're gonna want to take all this jazz, back it up a little bit further, and that's pretty good. So he goes down, then he flies back up. So what we have here is we have the move moving properly, and then it goes down on the right time, but then it goes back up a little late. So what we can do there is we can chop out the unnecessary data before we do everything else. So that's fine. So 343 is a good cutting point. Then we need to cut back in at 356. So that's 13, 12, and back up 375. So here, 369 to 3, whatever. Move that, remove that, I mean. And now we work with that back half of the data. That's a lot better. So we'll ride with that for now. At the moment we have our shot, moving in, down, back up. And that's shot number 1. Now we gotta do the whole thing over again for the reverse shot, or to watch him kind of fly back into the sky. And for that, what we're gonna probably do is put a dolly onto its body and then put the camera onto that dolly so we can be flying up with him and I can just give it some shake as we go up into the sky. So let's do that. Starting out, we're just gonna grab a new dolly, bring dolly 4 into the sequence, and then attach that to the character. We'll attach it to the hips, because why not? And then we'll do a transform, just to make sure we're kind of in the right direction, you could say. So location 0, 0, 0, rotation is fine, scale is fine. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn that tracker back on, just so we kind of know where everything goes. That's a bottle of soju. So we're gonna take our virtual camera, which is now underground and is not tracking. So back to live link as source. And we're gonna change that tracking node to attach it to dolly 4. From here we see the camera's kind of a little bit offset a bit. So the angle that we want to have is, we want to be looking kind of like down at him. So like we're like looking straight at his face and arm as he's flying up. So to do that, we'll get him in that position. We'll go back and find that dolly. So this is pretty much aimed at him like this dolly is. It could be a little bit better, but I kind of like how it is. We'll offset it a bit, and then we'll take this. We'll do that offset that we had done before. That's pretty solid. I'm not upset with that. Let's go back to it. And let's just kind of offset him more because I know I'm going to be sitting up when I have the camera rig going. So in order to combat that, I'm going to move the dolly backwards just so I can kind of get some clearance. But that feels pretty good. I will put the virtual camera back as that main camera, and then I'll save that. And then I think we're just about good to go. Let me grab that V-cam, put that into the sequence, demo 2, play that. We should be all good to go again. I got my little thing back here again. We're all tracked up. So me looking forward is gonna be virtually me looking, geez, I got a bowl cut. Me looking forward is gonna be me virtually looking down. So I'm just gonna do this just to give it some like motivated movement, something that it would feel kind of real. Imagine you had like a stick with a GoPro attached to it on top of this person flying through the air. So to get that going, once again, right on the D-pad, and then we should be just about in it. So that's it down. I'm gonna turn this way a little bit. I'm gonna back up. Hello. Here we go. Down, he's up. And we're flying with him. And his arm's popping out of his socket. And we're good. And that's about it. So I think we're good with that shot actually. So I will stop this and we can kind of get cooking with that. All right, so now that everything's kind of recorded outside the engine, we can get back into the engine and start kind of building up the scene a little bit. So just like last time, we're gonna go in to our cinematics, our takes, and then now we're gonna go into demo 2. That, our data is all right here. Let's puppet it real quick just so we can see what we're looking at. And this is likely where we were, and that's where we stopped. It's probably somewhere in this range right here is usable footage. So we'll go back into our actual thing. Pull this in, same thing as last time, new camera, rename it to top down, take our virtual camera, unparent the virtual camera, go to our top down camera, track in, attach it to dolly 4, and then add in the transforms. So all we're looking for here is just having the right shake at the right time, which that looks pretty okay. All right, so now we have both of our shots. We have our top down, and we have our, where'd it go? Behind. And then we'll cut here and go to top down. So move up, down, back up, and then he goes to that. Now the thing is here is that he doesn't stay in frame very long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a way to keep him in frame. What that means is translating the character inside 3D space at that point in time. There we go. So now what happens is inside the little window, we see him go. Back him up a little bit. It's really all a matter of fine tuning and getting something that looks kind of believable. So like right now, like that whip pan up, or that whip up goes really fast. So I want to make sure he's out of the frame at the top of that whip, and that I can cut over to the top down at the end of that shot. So we have up and cut, and that makes sense. As opposed to him leaving frame way too early and you not seeing him, you need at least like 7 seconds to be able to see, or 7 frames to really know what's going on, especially in high action moments. And right here we got what? Since that whip starts, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We're more than enough in there. So then it cuts to this one, and I want to cut one more time to him up above the clouds kind of peacefully, right? And I think that would be like a wide shot like this, kind of coming in and out of frame all in one shot. Yeah, that's funny. So we'll add that in, and we'll cut to it. This is in the camera actor 2. And then we'll probably fade out to black there, just to get like this sequence kind of over and done with in a couple shots. So it goes from behind, down, back up. He comes up here and he goes above the clouds. So what I would like to do is have the clouds kind of in this scene. So I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna make it a little more moody. So what I'm using right now is called Ultra Dynamic Sky. People don't really recommend this, but I just kind of like it because it's easy to use. I'll actually start a brand new Ultra Dynamic Sky just so you can kind of get the idea of how this works. So we'll drop that in, and we get pretty much everything that we need right off the bat. What I'm gonna do is go and grab the clouds in it, if I can figure that out. Clouds. Layer bottom scale, I want to bring these down. Oh, that's layer height, sorry. Bottom altitude, I want to bring these down so you kind of see him going through the clouds, or at least up to them. So now the sky is good. Now we're a little bit backwards down to here again. So I'll go back to this, go to sky light. So that's that. Also we'll go to the behind shot where he's kind of moving forward on him. Pull focus a bit. Have this one be wide. Feels like you're moving in on him. Shoots up, get to this camera, just top down, open it up, exposure, manual, that, make him the object of focus, go crazy wide. Get up through the clouds, which this one is what? Cinema Camera Actor 2. Which will make this one manual. Do the focal plane just so we can see what we're shooting at. And I think that's about it. We'll cut it there. we got the shot behind. Goes down, back up, into the sky, and through the clouds. And that's that. All right, so now that these are pretty much clean, minus just a little bit of some lighting stuff, I think we're almost good to go. So let's just go into here. Shot is this again, shot is behind. So we'll just add in a rect light. The sun's coming from the other direction, so we'll make that the key. Attenuation radius up, and we'll make it a little more orange. Then we'll give him a rim just to separate from that background a bit. And there we go. That's pretty much how you kind of get this to happen. We'll change up the focal settings on this a bit just because it's moving forward so much. So at the start, we'll do here, and towards the end, we'll do here. It's an attempt. No, we're fine. We're not going to rack back again because you wouldn't do that in real life. Let's clear that out. So this is that shot. It goes up, and he's flying, and he's up. You can add another. So here's a little trick. You can add another light to this too. Normally you'd be like, oh, how do I get a light to follow him the whole time? Well, you don't have to. You can grab this top-down camera, and keep an eye on it, add in another rec light, take that rec light and bring it into the project, make it movable, and then track, attach it to, what was it, dolly number 4. And then transform, zero it out, zero the rotation, and where's that light? Light's there, sun's over there, so we're gonna take it this way. Attenuation radius bump, brightness bump, and make it a little orange, just a little bit. If you look at this footage, it's super shaky. Which is not something we want. We want it to be a little more smooth. So a way to kind of fix that is you go to behind, go into that footage, and we get this madness. And what this is all pretty much saying is the keyframes for every single piece of movement that you had throughout your actual physical camera recording. So you get to go through here and you get to clean it up a little bit. Just keep simplifying unless you really want it to be perfect. Little jaggedy, but you'll forgive me for the time being. You understand the method. That's all that matters. All right, so now we take this, we hit this, we do this, we get to this, we see that that's all right, and then we render it out. Nice. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you like this type of tutorial where I'm showing both how and why I'm doing things. If not, I'll stop, or maybe I won't. I don't know.